Hello, everyone. Welcome to our podcast, Evening Tea
With mom?
and Son, where we pick specific topics to talk about that either interest us, scare us, or confuse us and explore its different perspectives.
And we also enjoyed some tea along the way.
Why? I don't get it. You're being so difficult.
Am I being difficult? Oh my god, you're getting a taste of the life.
Oh, what do you mean the taste of the life?
Oh
What am I,
gosh.
some sort of big adult? I'm like 40 and
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
like-
you are an adult. You're an adult. You will have to deal with difficult people. Face it.
You're the one that's actually being difficult
No,
right
you're
now.
being difficult right now.
No, you're being difficult.
No, you are the difficult one.
Okay,
Gosh.
Hey guys, what's up? We're back. So, as you can tell probably from the whole argument that we had, we're talking about difficult people today. Hooray. I mean, we've been meaning to talk about this. This is a difficult and scary topic for us because
Yes, something that nobody wants to talk about.
nobody wants to talk about being difficult. Like, what are the odds, right?
Sometimes you yourself will be a difficult person for somebody
Sometimes
else.
you yourself will be a difficult person. Right? Don't put the blame on me.
I don't disagree. I can be a difficult person sometimes. Circumstance can put me into that, phrase of being difficult and not being mean, but definitely being difficult.
Yeah, being difficult. So, I guess we need to talk about what we're drinking today. So, what are we drinking today, Mom?
Oh, we are drinking the hibiscus tea. Wow, wow. This is amazing. Hibiscus has great qualities as a plant, as a leaf.
Yeah, it was found in like
as a-
China or Japan or one of those Eastern countries.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
But hibiscus tea has its own good qualities. It is very good for high blood pressure, reducing high blood pressure, and it's very good for your skin health, I believe. So it's a great, and for your hair too. And I've heard that the hibiscus leaf may be used to create, was used to create shoe polishes. And I've also heard that the blackening agent in hibiscus tea is used in mascaras for.
Mascara.
Uh-huh,
Okay. So, makeup people, get on that. So, I guess we all know that hibiscus tea is really good for people with tension and people on edge, right?
Yes,
And
so that's why we chose
That's
it.
why we're going to talk about the people that can put you on edge, right? So I guess the idea is we should just go ahead and get started on the scientific perspective,
Perfect,
right?
perfect.
So when we look at difficult people, like I guess the real question we should be asking is, who are difficult people and how can we find out who they are in, I guess, specifically in the workplace or school slash university slash college place, right?
Yeah.
Because those are the places where we deal with the most people and encounter most of the situations that we do. I mean, we do encounter them when we hang out with our friend groups, hang out with like
Family.
or like outside activities, like extracurriculars. But most of the time we see them at school and the workplace because that's where we directly work with them.
All the time, right?
All
you
the
spend
time.
most of your time there.
Yeah. And obviously, why are people so difficult to us, right? All people can be difficult people, but why is it that we notice those people that bother us the most?
I think it's mostly because there's a lot of things that impact how you behave in a certain situation. It's where you were raised from, or what culture you came from, or what's your morals, what's your ethics, how you were, what are you built up of completely. So it's very difficult to say why someone is like that because every person is unique. and every person, when put in a certain circumstance, react differently. So this is what happens. I assume this is what happens in most places, where when you are challenged or when you are threatened, you act difficult.
Yeah, obviously. Or at least they're acting difficult towards you, so you have a tendency to act difficult towards them. And we see this a lot, especially in like the workplace. So really, why are there difficult people? Why do we see them as difficult people? They're all just different people, but there is a mistrust between the certain people that you're contacting. It's usually between some sort of authority, which is boss, or bosses, managers, things like that, and their constituents, which are the people that they work or people that work for them, right?
Yes.
There's always that clashing of heads when, I guess, rules slash misconduct that appears in the workplace is either not being reprimanded, because if it's misconduct is not being reprimanded, or the rules that are placed are not being implemented, right? Because that's a huge problem that we all notice, right? So let's say like a coworker acts very negatively to another coworker. The bystanders and maybe the person that was affected by it is afraid to go say it to to their authority or their manager, because it's either the manager that's being disrespectful, or it's they're just afraid to go talk to some hotline, right? And we see this. There's a TED Talk by Dan Currell, I hope I'm saying his name right, that does really well in explaining this, where he's like, okay, let's say that you have 1 million employees, and the only reason that and he did a study based off taking a survey of why people don't go say or like go report misconduct, right? And that's why people become such jerks, I must say, or difficult people, is because that misconduct is not being reprimanded for, and because those people are afraid to say it to the people that are above them, right? Or at least to higher management slash corporate, right? And a perfect example of this is The Office. It's the US version or the UK version for that matter, where they're just dealing with difficult people all the time.
Oh, you're talking about the show.
Yeah, the show The Office, right?
Yeah.
In the entire show is just about difficult managers, difficult people, and how all people are different, but we all see them as difficult because they are that way, right?
And I think most of the time it's person who's supposed to be the one who has to exercise the authority is the one who's trying to be difficult, who has to keep the rules and regulations implemented, are the ones that can become difficult.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So what does this have to do culturally? Like, because we see this a lot in politics, for that matter. I like to think of politics as just a group of difficult people that nobody wants to see, nobody wants to mess with, but they're there, and they're there to support our rights. I'm doing air quotations, people. Support our rights as American citizens, but... And of course they are. Hey guys, it's AJ, Arjun's alter editing ego. I'm back. I know you guys were excited to see me. Anyway, the definition of a politician, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the best dictionary ever, a person primarily interested in political office for selfish and other narrow, usually short-sighted reasons. So that makes a lot of sense right now. Anyways, back to the podcast. Really, they're just arguing all the time, right? I guess, why is this so prevalent in culture, right? If you guys like...
Thinking about cultural part of difficult people, it's again what experiences they have had in their lives and what values they carry, and if they are ethically not very strong, they're not someone who's used to following rules, they're going to break them.
Absolutely, right?
And they're not going to implement. I mean, if you're not someone who wants to follow rules, you're not going to implement those same rules in your, organization, right?
Well, yeah, obviously.
And obviously, when rules are not similar to everyone, then comes the trust issue, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So people stop trusting you, and where there is mistrust,
there's rule breaking, and
And
there's
there is difficult people.
Yeah, so what we see that in politics. We see that when the president argues with Congress, or when Congress argues with the Supreme Court, or the Supreme Court impeaches a president, right? Because there's always that mistrust between that authority, right? And whoever has authority over who, right? And I guess the founding fathers, the Constitutional Convention was just a group of difficult people, right? We had George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, Benjamin Franklin, I think he was there, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. We had all these people who were just so many just difficult, and like, we have our own plans and we have to put this together so that we can run a country, right? And I guess they understood that there was that idea of, I don't want to not please the other, because like in the office, if you don't please someone, right, they're not going to do the work for you. They're not going to agree with what you say, right?
But that's not what you're there for. You're there for doing your work, not to please anyone. Doing your work right. And yes, in the time that you're doing your work right, team matters, and getting along with the team is important. And it's up to your supervisor or manager to make sure that the rules are similar for everyone and you feel trusted by your teammate.
Right. Obviously. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not saying that it's just purely on the manager's responsibility. It's your responsibility to work towards making it happen, right? Making things work between you and your teammates, right? Mm-hmm. You are also responsible at some point of time. But yes, difficult people are hard to be around.
I guess, yes. I mean, obviously. But so in politics we see that. And like, I mean, there are also different kinds of difficult people. And we don't want to go into this because there are like multiple different lists on Google. I mean, we Googled most of this stuff, right? There are multiple lists on, oh my gosh, there's the tank, there's the yes person, there's the no person, and
there's the know-it-all.
There's the know-it-all.
Know-it-all is the best, I think.
Mom, you're only saying that because you're a know-it-all. Okay, anyways, you guys can go look these things up, but do we really need that? No, because difficult people are just different people that we see as difficult, right? It's all about perception, right? Obviously, in cultural perception, we obviously see that. And I mean, yeah, so I guess that's the way that we deal with that. Yeah. And Mom, how about like ethics? So like, here's some questions that maybe that should be answered, because we want to encourage questioning, right? Because that's what discussion is all about. So I guess the question is, how can we maybe just help them? And if we can't help difficult people, how do we avoid them, right?
You don't want to avoid them because you are at a workplace or you're in an environment where you have to be with them every day or work with them every day. So then you have to be smart enough to maneuver through and get to the place where you are trusted by them.
Okay.
Right? So how do you make yourself handle the situation better and not react when you are handling a difficult person? So what questions do you ask yourself when you're handling a difficult person to keep yourself sane?
I mean,
not,
yeah, but that goes into like
tick you off.
That goes into like the decision making, right, on the part of the ethical person and dealing with yourself, right? But how can we help difficult people? Maybe just pointing out that they're being that way. Right, like you got to say like, hey man, you're being difficult. You're in this presentation, you are saying stuff that I feel is very hindering to, like, let's say you're giving a presentation and this guy's just talking over you, right? Because he feels like you're doing something wrong, and you just got to be like, hey man, I really appreciate it if you just let me do my stuff, because I want to feel like I earned something. And
probably that's not the right approach. You would say that, hey, can you wait until I finish the presentation and then you can give me your feedback?
Or not, he's not giving you feedback per se. I feel like if he's interrupting you while you're saying something,
can you
like while you're presenting, you're saying something, and then this guy just comes in and he's like, by the way, like this adds on to this fact, right?
Yeah.
You really don't want to be that
you can tell them that, hey, can you wait until I finish it, and then you can add your comments.
Yeah, and we can rehearse this together. We can make sure that you have everything you need to say. If there's something else that you would like me to say, you can let me know, right?
Yeah.
But I guess the real answer to helping difficult people is literally just tell them you're being difficult, right? And how do we avoid them? I guess the answer is, should we avoid them, right? What's the real question? Should we avoid them? And I guess sometimes the answer is yes, right?
Yes, sometimes when you're not in the right mindset, and sometimes if you're not ready to deal with them, just avoid them and walk away instead of getting into a fight.
Right, you're gonna become the difficult person after that, right? You're gonna look like the villain of the story. Like, I guess, like, I've always felt this. Like, when a difficult person's getting on my nerves, and especially when I was younger, right? I used to get so angry and like just want to beat that person up. And I mean, everybody's felt that way, right? About a certain person. I bet you have felt that way about a certain person.
Yes.
Like, I just want you to not be here. I don't want you to be in my life anymore. Get out. Stop being so mean, right? And don't come back until you stop being so mean. I felt that way.
But you will have to deal with that. It's not possible to, get away from everybody. There are situations in which you will have to work with them, you will have to be around them, like when you're working on projects, like when you're working on something that's very important to you, you will have to deal with them. There's nothing wrong in pausing and thinking, how do I deal with them, and how do you handle them in such a way that you don't get hurt, but at the same time the goal is getting accomplished.
Obviously, yeah, because the first thing you need to do is you need to stop yourself from becoming that type of person.
Exactly.
Like,
and then what are the few tips that you can think, what are your few tips that you can give me?
I think you need to give those tips, because you were the one that gave them to me at the time when I was angry or like had to deal with a difficult person, right? When I wasn't in the right mindset, right?
I would say it depends upon how you view it. When you get furious and when you listen to the difficult person, say for example that someone is telling you that how bad a job you did on one of your project works, or telling you that, oh, this is horrible work, this is not great work, this is horrible work.
I have felt that before, or at least at least someone doesn't tell you that straight on. But they're that type of person that's like, okay,
pretends.
Let's scrap all of this, and that'll specifically be your work.
And start over again.
And then they'll be like, let's do it this way, right? Where you've worked hard on something, and they're like, I don't like these parts. Let's scrap all this specifically, and let's do it my way, right? But they'll be like indirectly telling you, like, your work is dumb, it's bad, it's really stupid. Right? They're indirectly telling you that, right? That's what eggs me, oh God. Ugh.
Okay, how do you handle such people? The first thing that you need to answer yourself is when that comment is being passed. When that comment is being passed, the first thing that you need to answer is this true?
Obviously.
Is what this person is saying is true?
Yeah.
If it's a no, then you know that your work is good. Then the second question you have to ask yourself is, are you sure that whatever you have done is right? When you're sure about it, you should not let that affect you, the comment that's coming from the person affect you.
Well, okay, let's stop right there, because I feel like if you say is this true, right? Where they scrapped all your work and pretended that, you just be happy with your work being scrapped, right? Or at least not like that, but in a way where it's just like, I'm targeting only you, right? And you're going to say, is it true that your work is bad? Maybe. Your work might have been complete trash to that person, but you are blinded by the fact that you worked so hard on this, right? Is it true that you worked hard to get the stuff done, right?
Yes. And you should have confidence in what you do.
You should have confidence in what you do, but of course you don't.
That is why you're answering these two questions.
But
the minute you are confident about what you have done, then how you react to this person changes.
Okay. Because I was thinking about, hey, if
so
you
the minute you feel that, oh, maybe my work was not good, then your reaction is going to be seen by the person, and he's going to take advantage of that.
So you don't want to overinflate your ego, because that might overinflate your ego on how well you did, and that might just make you more pissed, right?
So what happens when you believe in this person? When you believe in this person telling you this, you're going to not be confident enough to stand up to him, and your reaction will be very different from what it would have been.
So that's like a direct punch to the ego, but when you add a little bit of confidence to protect yourself, that's what you're kind of doing, right?
And what happens if you don't hold this thought in your mind of whatever this person is saying to you, you will come out of the conversation as the same person that you were when you got into the conversation. Versus if you listen to this person, you would feel depressed and you would feel bad about yourself. And when you come out of this conversation, you're going to not be the same person that you were when the conversation started. So what you think matters and how you react matters to these kind of difficult people.
Okay.
So when you react differently, they can see that their comments does not bother you, and you're going to do the right thing that you feel is right.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because we needed to answer that question, right? Because we don't want to overinflate our egos and act the wrong way that way, right? Because it's a balance.
So
yeah.
Dealing with a difficult person, if you are also a difficult person, it doesn't help.
Well, you have to realize you can't be difficult at this moment, because you being difficult is just going to make the situation worse, right? Because if you become that difficult person, then it's just going to over amplify their difficulty. Or, I mean, can we call it difficulty? All right, guys, just created a new word. Okay, difficulty. All right, that's going on a t-shirt. Anyways.
But I think these are the few important things that you need to think about while handling difficult people, right? So if you're asking yourself, okay, is it true? Whatever the person is saying, is it true? Are you sure? How do you react? What happens when you believe this person? And what would you be without the thought of whatever this person is saying to you?
Okay, so let's go through that scenario. So like you said, someone came in to your project, right? After a long absence or whatever, or just started, right? And you had some ideas and you started working on those ideas, right? And you gave, and the person that's supposed to be your manager or something is like, hey, that's a good idea.
Project leader.
Then she or he comes in, right? And she or he just says, nope, I'm gonna scrap this, right? Whatever you just did is complete trash and complete bogus, right? To maybe not to your face, but indirectly it was like, oh, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. Bye. Right?
So how do you react to that? How did you react to that?
How do you react to that?
You got mad?
So, okay, we're not going to go into real life, Mom. All right? Hey, guys, this is situations that have happened to us before, multiple times.
Okay, how would you react?
But how would you react?
If you didn't know to apply this.
If we didn't know how to apply these, well, we'd get mad, right?
And you would walk out of the room.
We'd walk out of the room. And maybe that's the best option if you are not in the right mindset to solve the problem. But if you are in the right mindset, what do?
You first ask yourself, whatever this person is saying, is it true?
Maybe. But I would say yes, because I worked hard on that, right? Is it true that whatever stuff you said is BS, right?
No.
Because you worked hard on that and you put in your heart and soul, right?
And the team had approved it.
Obviously.
Are you sure? Yes, because more than one people saw the work, more than one people have contributed towards the work, and I'm sure that it's right. So then how you react will change.
Right. How do you react to that thought, right?
So you would ask them, do you have a better idea? Can you give me a better idea to do this?
Or what is your better idea?
What is your better idea? Show me the better idea.
Show me the better idea. And if they, and then you say, well, if they say that they don't have any better idea, right?
There you know the problem.
Then you're just like, hey, you're just attacking me. So you'd pull that person off to the side and be like, hey, why are you? I feel like you are attacking my ideas. Why is that, right? And then you answer, and they'd answer the question civilly, or you have another problem there. But that's a different problem. But if they say a better idea than yours, right? Or they do actually say an idea, boom, there you have a conversation that you need to have with that person.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
boom, that solves the problem. If they feel like their idea is better than yours, right? And maybe it is. If it is a better idea, go ahead and go with it, right? At least at that point, you won't be mad because they have a better idea, right? And the problem's solved. But
and who would you be without that thought of getting mad?
yeah, so so now you think, ooh, problem solved, right? You go back into retrospective and you're like, hey, that was the problem. Now I fixed it. Right?
So difficult people are going to be everywhere, and you're going to be facing such problems everywhere in your life at every point of time. It's the attitude that matters, and how you react to the situation is what matters more than anything.
Obviously, yeah. So that kind of makes sense, right? So now, let's try another situation. All right? You were at a brown party, all right? And a brown party is just a party for, I'm not going to be like racist or anything, but Indian people have these parties called brown parties, all right? This is a party where they are so overly Indian that it just annoys the crap out of you. It shows you, they show up 3 hours late to the party start, okay? And they just talk about, whatever they want to talk about. It's like a get together, and sometimes you have they bring their kids along, right? And they shove you into a room and pretend to entertain yourself. They pretend for you to entertain yourself and your friends for how many ever hours that they're going to be. Sometimes it goes till midnight and it gets annoying, right? But as an Indian kid, or I'm not going to be racist, as a Pakistani kid maybe, you have to deal with it, right? And sometimes there are these Indian uncle and aunties, which we will have a whole episode on. Don't get me started, all right? That come and talk to you, right? They come and talk to you and they're like, oh, beta, I haven't seen you in such a long time. And you don't remember meeting this person. You don't know who they are to care about you. And they're like, oh my God, are you going to go to college? What college are you going to go to? Have you applied to any Ivies? Boom. You know that you are not smart enough to go to Ivies, right? Boom, there's a hit. What? And you're like, oh, what am I supposed to do? I don't want to get mad. What am I supposed to do? Answer, Scooby-Doo riddle. Let's go.
So, apparently the intention with which they come from is not bad, but at the same time, when you are younger and when that's not the thought in your mind, you feel that they are overstepping into your privacy.
And most of the time, they can do that.
Yeah, it can
have a
sound
tendency
like
to do
that.
that,
Instead of being friendly and asking what do you aspire to do or what are your interests, instead of asking that, their idea of success is based on probably going to an Ivy League college, but that's not success according to us.
And we'll get to that in another episode.
Yes,
Stay tuned for that.
So in these situations, again, how do you apply these rules? So you ask yourself first, is it true that success is only when you go to an Ivy League college? No. The answer is straightforward. No. Success can be, from anywhere. You can go to community college, you can not go to college and still be successful. So it doesn't matter, right? So answer these questions to yourself. Is it true, whatever this person is saying, that only going to an Ivy League college or a college will bring success? No. Then reassure yourself. Are you sure? Yes, you're sure. And then how do you react to these people?
Yeah. So how do you react?
So you would probably, try to tell them that, oh, I've applied in these colleges.
Or just don't tell them at all, right?
Just
Or
tell
at
them,
least,
oh, I'm considering applying in lots of colleges. I'm still thinking about it.
yeah, right? You can be like, I'm still thinking about it. And I guess the idea is when they overstep, when you feel like they overstep and they start asking you some stuff that you would like to keep close because they want to give you advice, and it's never good advice.
And there's
Yeah.
there's different ways to handle this. There's also another way to handle this. When you start asking them questions, they become inquisitive to answer those, and the attention shifts from you to them. So that's another way to handle these kind of people.
Well, do you want the attention to shift from you to them? Because here's the deal. Most of the time, the people that ask you questions, or okay, overstepping, next episode, but people who ask you questions like this are usually, in a snippet, the most boring people on the planet. All right?
It's okay to listen to their boring comments than answering some of their questions, which can trigger your anger, right?
Yeah, but okay.
So if you are smart enough to divert the attention and ask them back the question, oh, where do you think I should apply?
Boom, they're gonna start
They're
talking.
gonna have a list of colleges that they're gonna recommend to you and say,
They're
do
gonna
this, do that.
They're gonna
this is a
start
good
talking and they're gonna be like, okay,
Yeah.
So like they're gonna start talking.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so if you were to react harshly, you would have cut off a bridge that maybe your parents were trying to get at, right?
Yeah, unnecessarily you are burning a bridge which is not needed, and which could have been a very, a very simple conversation, getting into the conversation and coming out, rather than that becoming sore and they becoming, oh, this child is with an attitude kind of reaction.
And immediately they think that your parents have attitudes, right? They judge you based off of your parents, which is, again, another episode. But
so
yeah.
who would you be without that thought that this person is trying to tell you that you are wrong? You would walk out of the conversation as a different person when you're not having the thought that this person is trying to tell you what you're supposed to do or what you're doing is wrong. Mm-hmm. So listen to whatever they're saying and say, oh, cool, that's great idea, I will try to do it, and then just excuse yourself.
Just excuse yourself, because most of the time you don't want to talk to them. You want to play Angry Birds on your
and
phone.
And you never
right?
know, in between that conversation you might learn something interesting that you didn't know.
Right, but most of the time, guys, no.
Never underestimate people.
Never underestimate people, but I mean, there's an ongoing pattern. And we'll talk about that next episode, right? This is just a glimpse of a situation of a difficult
How do you handle difficult
How
people?
to handle difficult people, right? And honestly,
probably it's worth doing an episode on difficult conversations.
Well, difficult conversation, that's a whole different story, right? Those are usually held with people that are not difficult and people that you know, right? Mm-hmm. Difficult conversations is a totally different topic where it's based off of, hey, I mean, we're having a difficult conversation right now, right? Mm-hmm. And we can have a whole different episode on that. But the point is, right, we need to understand that difficult people come and go, but you are always you, right? So you need to make sure that you keep yourself in check by asking yourself the 4 questions, right?
Yes.
Can we repeat those one more time?
Is this true? Are you sure? How do you react? What happens when you believe in this person? What would you be without this thought?
All right. So those are the 5 questions, right?
Yes.
4 or 5 questions you should be asking yourself anytime you meet someone that you find difficult, right? And I guess out of personal experience, everybody can be a difficult person, right? Once you snap them, right? But once you know that that person is difficult, you know exactly how to deal with them. And that's the basic premise, right? Any last thoughts before we end this episode?
I think what you're saying is right. Anybody can be a difficult person. You yourself can be a difficult person. It's a learning that how do you not be a difficult person for someone else and have compassion and empathy.
Awesome. I think we're done. Let's close off this episode. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hooray! Woo! This episode of Evening Tea with Mom and Son was produced by Padmapriya Rangarajan, written and directed by Arjun Balaji, and the music was done by Prithvi Prakash. If you guys and gals want to learn more about us, your hosts, and see all of the other episodes that we've posted, go to eveningteawithmomandson.com. That's eveningteawithmomandson.com, no spaces and no capitalization. And as always, we encourage you to have discussions with friends and family, and we hope to see you next time.